Good. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Ben. My name's Emma Bombonato, as I've been introduced. I'm the Environmental Sustainability Manager for the Opera House. And before I share with you our case study about our PPA, I just wanted to provide you with a bit of context about where the PPA fits into the biggest picture. So the Opera House is the world's busiest performing arts centre. It holds more than 2,000 performances and events every year. We have about 10 million people that visit the site and over 2 million people that are part of our online community. So we have a global brand and an audience, which provides us a powerful platform to do good. So one thing we do appreciate at the Opera House is that what we do matters, and it's really important that we address issues that are important to our society. And one of our primary purposes is to raise awareness and inspire positive change, and that's where the PPA fits in. By our 50th year anniversary, in 2023, the Opera House is aiming to achieve 6-star Green Star rating and will become climate positive. These achievements over the past few years, including our PPA, have all been stepping stones that will lead us to this really important milestone for our 50th birthday. So our energy efficiency and carbon reduction journey started more than 10 years ago. Electricity consumption makes up more than 80% of our footprint. So it's been really important for us to focus our effort on investing in efficiency projects which have had the greatest impact. So to date, we've reduced our consumption by about 16% from our baseline. So for anyone that's worked in a 1970s building or a World Heritage listed building, you'll appreciate that achieving that kind of reduction has been no mean feat. In 2018, the Opera House was certified carbon neutral. So year on year, we continue to neutralise all of our emissions through offset projects. So they're projects that support Australian biodiversity, Indigenous land management practices, and international renewable energy projects. So the next phase of our strategy was to look at opportunities to support the renewable energy sector. The need to renew our electricity contract gave us this really important opportunity to rethink the way we purchased electricity. So enter the concept of a PPA. PPAs were just starting to emerge as an option, so we had to spend some time trying to understand whether in fact it was right for the Opera House. Before we could proceed with the new approach, we needed to tick some important boxes. Firstly, the PPA needed to support our long-term climate positive goal by 2023. We were looking to lock in some long-term rates to reduce risk and exposure to volatile energy prices. We wanted an agreement with a retailer to keep it simple. We had a preference to support new renewable projects located in New South Wales. And we also needed to ensure that we developed a compelling business case, and this was the clincher. The challenge was to demonstrate an agreement which would perform equal to or better than what we considered our BAU, or our business as usual approach. So this is the process we undertook. The very first step included socialising PPA concept with my director, our CFO, and the broader executive team, remembering that at the time we were looking at this, there were not a whole lot of case study examples to draw on. So we completed a market sounding to ensure that the product we're looking for even existed, and generally give us an idea of the structure and the cost. Developing a business case was the most critical, and it was based on a number of different models and scenarios. I think at one point we're looking at about 50 different scenarios and trying to analyse what they might look like. There were high electricity prices, average prices, low prices, LGCs included, not included, LGCs sold, for instance, and we had to choose a benchmark for price. So for what we considered BAU, which was the New South Wales Government 777 contract. But this was really tricky because there were various unknowns and we had to factor them in, including the fact that electricity prices didn't really look ahead more than a couple of years. So confidence in the modelling was key to achieving approval to proceed to the tender. And I think the tender process probably took, and contract negotiation took maybe around 6 months, a little bit more. Board endorsement was my Christmas present in 2018. So this is what we asked for very quickly in our tender, supply-linked New South Wales project. You can see our load is quite small relatively to other organisations, 19 gigawatts for optimal match. We asked for it to be unbundled so we could see the electricity rates and LGCs separate, a minimum of 60% load match, a 7-year term as a minimum with options to extend. And we asked for the tenderers to demonstrate mitigation of risk, but this wasn't prescriptive, so we left that quite open. And this is where we landed. This is the structure. 2 projects, roughly a 50-50 mix. Around 85% of our load is matched. No LGCs. We made a decision to continue to offset to achieve carbon neutrality year on year, and we'll revisit that as we approach 2023 as part of our climate positive goal. In a 7-year term with an optional 3-year extension, our electricity retailer is Flow Power. So for any of you who have ever worked with Ben Waters, you'll know that one of his many superpowers is the ability to develop incredible spreadsheets and graphs. So this graph is courtesy of Ben and shows the Opera House's load profile, which is the black line, matched against wind and solar. So our load profile is generally very consistent, but it peaks in the evening, of course, as you would expect. This means that Bowman and the Sapphire combination provide us with the best possible match. And there are a few hours in the afternoon where we have a gap in coverage and we're exposed to the spot price. So I guess the reality of this exposure can sometimes mean that high prices occur, like New Year's or in January, and that we're exposed at that time. But I also wanted to point out that the reverse can also be true, like the unusual circumstances we have at the minute. We use a ceiling product which is designed to cap our prices and protect us from occasions when price spikes. Load shifting and shedding is challenging for us in the afternoons because it's exactly the same time as the house is ramping up for evening performances and pre-cooling our venues. So part of our longer term mitigation strategy is to look at on-site battery storage, which is a project we're interested in pursuing once the economics works for us. And despite all of these things, it's important to point out that our PPA performance currently and over a year is very steady and competitive with our BAU position, which is exactly where we need it to be. So finally, my top tips are really to socialise the concept really early and well before your contract term ends to ensure your business case stacks up against your chosen baseline, to engage a specialist to help you decipher the PPA language, to understand the risk and options for mitigation, to look at the structure and also the specifications. You really need someone who can do all these things for you and has the ability to tailor the approach based on the individual needs of your organisation or your business. So I guess one of the best takeaways from me is how much more actively involved our team has been to understand electricity use, to ensure our PPA continues to work for us and also gives us a better understanding of how the NEM works. So as an energy nerd, it's been a fascinating, but at times, edge of my seat ride. And I hope the Opera House case study and the others that you've heard today impart you with enough knowledge and inspiration for you to jump on board. And congrats to the BRC for the new guide. That's all from me.